So stupid. The things I do for you guys. The things I do for you guys. Try to get a laugh. I'll tell you. Sometimes I don't know who I am, man. I don't know what I'm doing. But one thing I can say is that this is Green Bean. I don't know who that is, but that seems to be who I am these days. This is Green Bean, and welcome to episode 25 of the Jets pod, Greenbean's Jets pod. And this is an interesting one. This is the first episode where we are going to get into your questions, and I'm super excited. I've been meaning to do this for a long time. It just never felt right for one reason or another. And with all the things I've been doing behind the scenes in this little bit of a lull, there's still a lot of cool stuff going on, but it is less. And pretty soon it's going to be even less. So I have a lot of behind the scenes stuff taking place, and I've been kind of working in some of the things that some of them were even a part of the original plan for this. I have all kinds of stuff on deck that it's weird, man. It just doesn't seem to work in the way that you think it's going to work. And then sometimes you just don't have time. Like there is an aspect to this podcast that was literally the first idea I had for a podcast as it pertains to Green Bean and Jets and all that. And I still haven't gotten to it. It was idea number one. It was the thing that I was going to lead with. And it's still not here. Isn't that the craziest thing? Because the first, let me just, all right, okay. I'm going to tell you stuff, okay? We're just going to do it. I'm going to tell you all kinds of stuff. So, I'm the type of guy that, sadly, procrastinates a lot. And I'm not a procrastinator for procrastination's sake. I'm a perfectionist. A lazy, unaccomplished perfectionist, if you can believe this. It's like in recovery we say there's this king baby syndrome. It's like I don't deserve to be treated this way, but I'm a piece of shit and nobody likes me, like that kind of thing. And one of the sayings is I'm the piece of shit at the center of the universe, so there's that. But so I have this procrastination thing that goes on. Like, so what the process is that I will try to get everything in line so I can do the thing that I want to do, and I have to have everything set and perfect before I do it. So what that effectively does is it stops me from ever doing it. So because I never have everything perfect. I always have, I got to get this, or this thing's not quite right, and I got the lighting's not right, and it's raining, whatever it might be. All this stuff comes into the fray and stops me from doing it. So episode 1, if you haven't seen it, you can go back and check. You'll see, man, I'm literally in like a hunting cap. I was just taking pictures, like for our Christmas card, and we were doing a Cousin Eddie thing from the Vacation series, and I was like, we were taking pictures, and I just was in that mood, like I was in that whole mode, I should say, and I just realized right then, like if I don't sit down and just record one of these things, I'm never going to do it. I've been talking about it to myself for months at that point. And I just literally grabbed my computer, grabbed a camera, sat down at a little plastic table next to my RV and recorded it. And I just was like, and I just started doing it. And there goes episode 1. So like that's how it goes for me. And I will procrastinate trying to get everything perfect. And as you know, most of the time, you're not going to get everything perfect. The trick is just to do it. That all said, the original ideas that I have so many on deck, and I'm just now, 25 weeks or so later, starting to get to the initial ideas that I had for this. And some of them are going to take a little longer than others, but one of them was just getting your questions. Yeah, it seems like so simple to do, but it's not for me. So I have a whole bunch of your questions, and I really appreciate it, man. I just put it out yesterday morning, I think it was, or maybe 2 days ago. I think it was Friday, actually. So 2 days. And I just said, hey, guys, we're going to put a little bit more infrastructure into this moving forward. But for today, just give me some questions, and we'll start with you guys. And everybody responded. So I'm really grateful. And we got some good questions. Some people yelling at me, all kinds of cool stuff. So we'll get into all of it. I'm just going to put it in there unabridged, unfiltered, uncensored. Whatever you said, I'm going to put it on the screen and we'll talk about it. How's that? I can't shy away from anything. You know, if I'm going to ask you guys to participate, in my opinion, I should participate back, right? Like if somebody says, hey, Bean, I like your show, but you're an ass. Should I just cut out you're an ass and say, hey, Bean, I like your show? Hey, and kind of put out that illusion? You know, I don't know. I don't feel like I can do that. I have a whole bunch of moral things going on here. So before we really move on, I got a couple things I want to talk about, and then we'll get into your questions. First, I will say, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It's a big deal, man. It's a big deal. It helps me out a great deal moving forward into this YouTube content creation sphere. And who knows, maybe this can even be a thing. So if you could, just hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're really fancy, hit the bell for notifications when I do stuff. I go live all the time, sometimes set up, sometimes impromptu. And you'll be notified, so you can be aware, and you can party, man. You can jump in there with us. You can have a good time. In addition to that, like many of you know, but some of you invariably don't, I am out here, like right now, I'm in Ogunquit, Maine, just outside of Ogunquit, between like Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and Portland, Maine. I'm right in that pocket there, right near the beach. And I'm driving around in the RV. See that right there? That vehicle, that's an RV. I'm driving around in there with my kids, and we're taking those two children on every roller coaster that we can in the entire country. So right now we're in the 200s. There's about 775 or so. So that's called the Full-Time Coaster Tour, and you can follow all of those happenings on, you guessed it, Full-Time Coaster Tour on YouTube as well. You can also pop by fulltimecoastertour.com if you want to read some blogs and bios and things like that. We also have merch going on and all that jazz. So appreciate the support, man. Anytime you can go over there and give that a like and a subscribe, I really do appreciate it. Again, I'm trying to build that channel as well and make it into a thing. It helps me get into amusement parks for free and all that kind of stuff. It helps, man. I'm not a multi-millionaire. I'm just out here. I'm just trying to do the thing. You know, I got tired. I got tired of sitting in traffic and working. I wanted to have some fun with my kids before I pass out and die, you know? So that's what I'm doing, but it helps. So the other thing, one more thing, don't forget, like and subscribe over at Jetnation's YouTube as well. And you can also go to jetnation.com. The forum is hands down the best place for New York Jets talk. It's robust over there, man. You go to jetnation.com, you click on forums, a couple options will come up. One is draft, one is some other weird stuff, and the other one is New York Jets talk. And you click on New York Jets talk and you're going to see it. Just thousands of threads. It gets over 1 million hits a month, man. Like there's a lot of us in there. And if you haven't been in there yet, you got to get in there. It's a great place. So, where does that leave us? Couple of things. OTAs are officially in the books. And let me just say this. Now, especially because last year there weren't really OTAs. There really weren't. Think about last year's rookies. They didn't have any of this. So like guys like Denzel Mims and Cam Clark and Bryce Hall, those guys didn't even really get this camaraderie, this time. So we really have a batch of like 20-something rookies, man, including the undrafted free agents, really, as far as like training camps and all that stuff goes. And these OTAs, even though we didn't have any last time, and that could be propping it up a little bit, this has been the most interesting batch of OTA sessions I can recall getting into, man. It has been good. Whether it's Saleh at the Islanders game, Zach Wilson at the Knicks game, fucking Dan Feeney banging cans on his head, you know, whatever it is. It's a whole bunch of excitement, and we have some people that are rising through the muck to kind of make a little noise. And there are guys that are not showing up, which are giving other guys the opportunity to make a little noise, which is interesting. So first thing is let's talk about the most important piece, which is Zach Wilson. Now, Zach Wilson, a lot of guys coming into this draft absolutely fell in love with this guy. I am not one of those guys. I liked him a whole bunch, but I just wasn't in love with him. I think I would have been just as happy with Justin Fields or someone else. I liked this quarterback class at the top end. So that is what it is. But I'm very happy that it is Zach Wilson. And I gotta say, at this point, I'm really grateful it was Zach Wilson. I just love the way that he is adhering to his teammates. I love the way that he's handling this whole thing. I love his attitude. I love the look. And most importantly, guys, it's only in shorts. It's t-shirts and shorts. I get it. And I'm certainly not getting overboard on this excitement. But man, has he looked good, huh? Has he not looked fantastic? So the one play above all else has been that 41-yard bomb to Elijah Moore right over the outstretched hands of Bryce Hall, another guy who's really in his first batch of organized team activities, right? I think they did it virtually last year. That's what they did. So this is his first time really getting the opportunity to do this. Last year he wouldn't have participated anyway because he was coming off the ankle injury. But the guy was in blanket coverage. He was right there. You see the pictures, like the ball's here and his hand was here, like he was right there. And you credit that to two people. One is Zach Wilson put that exactly where he needed to, but because Elijah Moore knows when to turn it on. He knows when to create separation, which is fantastic, man. Like, that's advanced stuff for these receivers. You don't see that all the time with rookie wide receivers knowing that stuff. This is stuff that they develop into, like knowing how to keep the cornerback on you, but he knows that last second to create the separation and give himself those 6 inches, 1 foot, whatever it is, to be able to catch the ball, and that's what he did. And so it's like all around, all three players, what a great play, man. But that's the stuff. That's the stuff you're seeing. Now, while we can't get too excited about OTAs, and I'm a full supporter in that, like I'm not going to go running around telling everybody that, you know, this is it because of OTAs. I do that anyway, but I'm not going to do it because of OTAs. But isn't it better than saying the other side, which is, dude, relax. I know he threw 15 interceptions, but it's only OTAs. It doesn't mean anything. He's never played with these guys before. They're all rookies, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Isn't it better to start on this side than the other side? Usually we start on the other side. Our quarterback, so they had, 10 OTA sessions over the past however long, and he's looked fantastic through most of them. Usually it's like out of those 10 sessions, 2 days the quarterback looks good and he gives us hope. What do we call it? He showed flashes. Flashes. Aren't you tired of flashes? I want to just see a guy who obviously knows how to play the position. That's what I want to see. Is that too much to ask? Is it too much to ask? And the thing is that that's what we're getting right now. So Zach Wilson has looked fantastic. And he's played the role. He's looked the part, man. It's not looking like he has all that much to learn as far as how to ingest the information, the motivation and the drive and the mentality that it takes to be this guy. And he's around his teammates, man. He seems to have that little bit more of a chip to be able to rally the troops than our former quarterback had. With all due respect to Mr. Sam Darnold, he's a mellow cat, man. He's just going to go to work. He's just going to do it. He's going to go about his, the plays and the motions, and he tries and he works real hard and all that. But he's not inspiring anybody. And I think Zach Wilson has a little bit more of that. And man, is that good to see. But you want to hear an interesting little nugget? Take a guess who his number one target was in OTAs. Do you know who it was? Everybody thinks it's Elijah Moore. Second guess, and I asked a few people. It's Elijah Moore, and when I say no, you know what their second guess is? See, my old bartending days. I never bartended, though. I just poured booze into a thing and drank it. That's not booze, it's water. It's fizzy water. See, I wish I could get a sponsorship with these cats. Where are they? See that? What is it? SodaStream. That's my stuff. So the second guy is Keelan Cole. Everybody goes, oh, right. Keelan Cole. It's not Keelan Cole either. You know who his number one target was? I think it's Ryan Griffin, who's having a fantastic session. No. It's going to make you laugh. It's Braxton Barrios. Braxton Barrios is the guy that Zach Wilson is developing the most chemistry with and has hit the most. At least from what I've seen. And I read something by, I think it might have been Sabo, who he's a guy that I enjoy watching, listening to, reading. Like I like him. I trust his opinion. And yeah, it might have been him where I heard that one, which is super crazy interesting. So Braxton Barrios. So it's an interesting thing. Like, how many receivers are we going to keep? How many guys are we going to keep? We have Corey Davis, who's just got a free agent contract. He's here, right? He's a lock. You got Keelan Cole, he signed a free agent contract. He's not quite the lock Corey Davis is, but I'd say he's a lock too. Denzel Mims is a lock. So those are three guys right there. They're locks. Who else is a lock? Elijah Moore. That's your fourth receiver right there. He's a lock. So who else we got? You got Jamison Crowder, who's sitting at home because of his contract situation. We'll talk about that in just a second. Then you have guys like Jeff Smith. You have guys like Vincent Smith. You got DJ Montgomery. You got some guys that can play on the bottom end of the roster. Who's going to be able to play special teams? Who's going to do that stuff? Then you got the Lawrence Cagers of the world. They're running around. So how many wide receivers are we going to keep? You think it's 5? You think it's 6? You think it's 7? They add that all. Look, if Crowder works out his contract, that's 5 right there before Barrios. So who's Barrios knocking off the pedestal right now? Davis, Mims, Cole, Moore, Crowder. It's 5. That's 5. You have to keep 6 in order for Crowder to even make it. Who's playing specials out of that group? So Braxton Barrios having the camp he's having it's something. It's a story, man. It is a point of interest, because if Zach Wilson is very comfortable with him and the coaching staff sees that these guys are on the same page, Braxton Barrios can play. He's not. I think people overvalue him. Like they're putting more on him than he is, I think. But the guy can play football. He can play the game of football on a professional level. He's proven that. But if Zach Wilson and him are on another level together telepathically, dude, that can raise everybody's game. Are you going to take that from him? Because Jeff Smith wants to make the team, and technically speaking, he's a better athlete? Is that what you're going to do? Don't forget, Braxton Barrios also can return punts. And fairly well. It's interesting. I didn't expect to see that coming out of OTAs. Now, I'm really curious to see how mandatory minicamp goes. See if Crowder's coming. See if Corey Davis comes back. See what's going on. See how Mims responds to Keelan Cole knocking him off the number 2 spot. It's going to be interesting, isn't it? So I think that this is so fun to see it this way, as opposed to which one of these loser scrubs of ours is going to get his head out of his ass and learn how to play football. Huh? If that's usually what we're doing. I mean, look, the reason Robbie Anderson became Robbie Anderson is because there was no one on the team. We had Jermaine Kearse. I think at that time we might have even still had a Darius Stewart and Hanson and those guys. That's who was running around. There was nobody there. So Robbie Anderson, with respect, he did what he had to do in the position that he was given. Robbie Anderson types don't always get that opportunity. So he got the opportunity and he ran with it. Good for him. But, dude, hoping that your undrafted free agent wide receiver becomes something dude, I'm sick of that. Sick of it. So I'd rather it be this way. And quite frankly, I think it's really interesting. But the other side of this, and you'll say this is a good problem to have, is we're going to have to cut somebody. We're going to have to get rid of some guys that in years past we wouldn't have gotten rid of. And that's going to be painful. It is. So that'll bring us to Crowder. Now, Crowder, we're learning that, well, I don't know how much we're learning, but we're hearing that the Jets are asking him to take, in quotes here, at least a 50% pay cut. At least? So what are you talking about, 40%? So you want to pay him $4 million? Is that what it is? I mean, I don't know. The one thing I'll say is that these guys, the guys giving us this information, haven't gotten a damn thing right yet. I don't even know if there's one thing outside of guesses landing, which anybody could, like, the saying, the broken clock's worth right twice a day. So it's like, you can keep guessing. If you guess enough, shit, something's going to happen, right? So I don't know how true any of this is. Like, we don't know where the information's coming from. Is it coming from Crowder's agent? Is it coming from somebody in the Jets organization? I mean, it hasn't happened yet. We haven't seen the Joe Douglas Jets leak any information, and then that information ends up becoming true. It just hasn't happened yet. So let's say for a split second that it's true. So the Jets are asking him to take a 50% pay cut, which would be $5.25 million or so. So they're gonna ask him to take $5 million pay cut, and pretty much know he's gonna get cut next year. So this can be broken down in a couple of ways. Number one is, hey, take a $5 million pay cut, and then we'll extend you 2 years, guaranteeing you. So we'll give you a 3-year contract, guaranteeing 2, and then you make $10 million over those 2 years, and then potentially the third year you can make $5 million more. So maybe it's more money if you make it through the 3 years, and all right. So the other thing is, hey, take the $5 million pay cut or we're going to cut you. Essentially, it's really like, hey, man, which way is this going to go? Now, the Jets are in the driver's seat for a couple reasons. One is Crowder has no guaranteed money. This thing isn't guaranteed. It's not a guaranteed contract. So technically speaking, they don't have to pay him anything. Now, he's sitting at home during voluntary minicamps as a sort of protest. But next week, when mandatory minicamp starts, he needs to show up or he starts getting fined. And don't forget the change in the most recent CBA, that when players hold out and they get those fines, they can't recoup that money. Like, a lot of times what would happen is they hold out for a month and the team signs them and they go, don't forget about that. We don't have to do all the penalties. The NFL is mandating that those fines stay fined, like they stay in place. So if you lose $1 million over that time that you held out, you lose $1 million. So that's up to Jamison Crowder. Now, I don't know what's best for him. I really don't. The one thing I'll say is, from just my personal standpoint, it seems like a guy, you just pay the damn guy, or say, hey, all right, we'll get you to $8 million, 8.5. Just give us a little bit of breathing room so we can go sign Morgan Moses or whoever it is, and because we need help. And then next year we'll let you go and you can do whatever you want to do. Or maybe we'll re-sign you mid-season if you're lighting it up or something like that. But the Jets have all the cards, because in addition to that non-guaranteed contract that he has, dude, we're stacked. So if they really like Barrios and, let's say, Jeff Smith, they really don't want to lose these guys. Crowder's in the way. You see what I'm saying? So they're letting him know, like, dude, not only is Elijah Moore significantly better than you, and that's with no shot at Crowder. Crowder's a damn good ball player, and I happen to like him a whole bunch. But it's like, Elijah Moore potentially is better than you. Damn it, man. You can't do it. You can't just start saying guys are better when they've never played an NFL snap. Who knows why players bust? You spend a first-round pick on a guy, top 10 pick, and he never gets a sack. Or he never catches an NFL pass. Like, what is that? Guys light it up for 3 years in college, come to the NFL, and bust. So we don't know. It doesn't look like he's gonna, but we don't know. So let me cool that down. But they can say that. Like, Barrios and Zach Wilson are basically connected at the brain. You got Elijah Moore, who's probably the best wide receiver on the field. We brought in Davis and Cole, and we drafted Mims last year. Like, dude, you're in the way. If you don't take this $5 million pay cut, you're gone. Now, from Jamison Crowder's side, he might be saying, cut me. I don't want to be here anyway. I hate this place. Like, who knows, right? He might not like this whole new framework, everything going on, all these new guys coming. He might not like it. He might feel threatened. He might be bent out of shape. So he could be saying, cut me. And I'll go out there and I'll get $5 million somewhere else. I don't care. I'm not taking the pay cut here. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it goes. But I'll tell you, man, right now, as much as I like Jamison Crowder, I almost think that this is kind of a tactic to, like, we're pushing him to say, look, if he takes this much of a pay cut, we'll keep him. If not, I don't want him here. I got guys that they're younger, they're with more upside. I know what Jamison Crowder's ceiling looks like, and I don't know what these other guys are. We have a top four that are, for all intents and purposes, better for us than he is. So if he takes a $5 million pay cut, we'll keep him. If not, then he can go elsewhere. I'll trade him for a seventh or whatever it is. It's a bummer. And that'll lead me into the next thing, which is Marcus May. We're going to really want to pay attention to whether or not he comes to mandatory, because even though they're talking about a contract extension and all that sort of stuff, which, let's be frank, Joe Douglas came out of the draft, which is well over a month ago, and said Marcus May's the priority. If he's the priority and you have over a month to work on it, if you guys were close, it'd be done. They're not close. I mean, who knows? That could happen any minute. But up till now, it doesn't look very good. So Marcus May hasn't shown up to OTAs, again, as some sort of protest, most likely. Who knows? Maybe he's visiting his grandmother in Hawaii. I mean, I don't know. But it's not a good look, and let's see if he doesn't show up to mandatory, because let me tell you this. If you were going to do this, Baloney, you never should have signed your franchise tag. Okay? He signed it. You got to play. You got to play. It's over $10 million. You just play on it, and you do it that way. You handle yourself in a way that is appropriate for somebody who signed their franchise tag. You didn't have to sign it. You just don't sign it and hold out, and then see what's going on. And you have your agent request to be able to seek a trade and see what the Jets do there and do the whole thing, just like Jamal Adams did, but quieter. And you go somewhere else. But he signed it. So my opinion is, while I'd like to see Marcus May get signed and all that, it's like I'm almost at the point where it's like all these McCagnon guys, look, there are some good ones, right? There are, and Marcus May is in that category. At the same time, dude, you don't want to be here, then go. Then just go. You signed your franchise tag. Get the hell in here. That's the way I see it, man. Get in here. I know we're talking about a contract. You can be on the field earning your $10.346 million while we're working on the contract. And that's what you should be doing. Right now, you're the leader in the locker room. And there's a bunch of newbies running around this place. They don't even know where the bathroom is. Who's going to show them where the bathroom is? You gotta have Marcus May in there. You signed it. So, again, I don't know what's going on there, but that's the agent that went on Twitter and said a whole bunch of crap. So, he's already rubbing me wrong. And the way I see it, man, is just like, look, if the McCagnon crew doesn't want to be here, then don't be here. I get it. I understand the whole thing. But we're moving. The train has left the station. Jump on or stay where you are. So I'm real curious to see where Marcus May and Jamison Crowder get into this, and I like both players, and I'm hoping both players figure out a way to get back in camp and become a part of this team. Because in the meantime, guys are looking good out there, and they're forgetting all about you, Jamison Crowder. The best way to remind them of what you are is to be in that locker room, to be on the field. Show them your talent. Let them know what they're going to miss. If Elijah Moore gets dinged up, let them know. Let them know why you should be starting over this young man. That's the way to do it. So, did you hear Carl Lawson this week? Did you hear his interview? I'll make this real quick. Carl Lawson was asked about what he thinks he could be or something along those lines. And he started talking about there are obviously external factors that come in and have an impact on what it is you're trying to achieve in life, which I could not agree more. You can say, I'm going to this, and you can work your butt off and do all those things, and then something comes and you can't do it. It's just, you never know what's going to happen. You can only handle yours. You can only control what's within your control. The trick is to do that and not worry about you. That's going to come regardless. So you have to take care of your own stuff. You got to do your own thing and just act as if everything's going to open for you. And then, so when it does happen, you're ready. Okay? Carl Lawson then went on to say, what I'm trying to be is otherworldly. Otherworldly. When is the last time we had a defensive end talk in a way that made you think, like, not only am I going to hopefully be good and I want to do my job and blah, 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 that talked about being better than everybody else on the field. Otherworldly. That's my goal. If it's within my control, I'm working on being otherworldly. Telling you. The guys we brought in, I couldn't like them more. I couldn't like the batch of guys. I'm not happy that Corey Davis is shouldered. Again, OTAs. I'm not happy about Denzel Mims a little nicked up. Again, OTAs. I'm not happy about Mekhi Becton's feet. Again, it's OTAs. They're just being cautious. They're not overdoing it. Mandatory mini camps coming up, and then training camp. That's when the rubber hits the pavement, man. Okay? So that's what we're talking about here. It's OTAs. I don't like any of that stuff. But boy, oh boy, do I like this batch of young men that we have collected, and that includes the coaching staff. I love listening to them. You know, like a lot of times, especially for us, the last 6 years, let's say, Rex was out of control, and he gave us some real gems in the press conferences. But guys like Gase and Bowles, like, they gave us nothing. And then they'd interview Dowell Loggins, and you're like, what is this guy even talking about? Right? So they gave us nothing. They spoke in circles, or they just didn't answer questions. Or Gase would even go as far as throwing people under the bus. It's like, so these guys, Saleh is saying stuff. Mike LaFleur is telling you things. Jeff Ulbricht is saying things, like they are actually giving you meat for the sandwich. We can discuss, and you can move the needle on where your thoughts are. You go, that's really interesting, man. I like that. Or, wow, I didn't really appreciate that. He said, you can take what their words are, and you can make something out of them, instead of, we got to work harder next week. We got to draw the turnovers. You know what I mean? So the whole thing, I like the whole thing. I like the whole damn thing. So one more thing, and then we're going to get into your questions real quick, man. Jair Le'Veon Bell, again, what is this guy's deal? I'm so glad he's gone. I just really am. I don't want anything to do with these guys that are like this. What is this madness? He put out a tweet that said, I'll never play for Andy Reid again. I would rather retire first. What is this? I thought it was Gase. And that goes back to the comment about offensive gurus and all. I'm not going to play. Maybe I shouldn't play for these offensive gurus. Dude, let me just tell you something. Andy Reid is known for essentially one thing: putting guys in positions to succeed. He's known as a very creative offensive mind. He's always on the cutting edge of where the NFL is going, and has been for 20 years. You go there and you're a dud, you're a stick in the mud, man, dude, that's on you. Okay? You can't have Adam Gase misusing you and then go to Andy Reid's Kansas City Chiefs and they're vying for the Super Bowl championship and they're misusing you too. The only ones who didn't misuse you were the Steelers, but then back when you were back then, you said that they were overusing you. So what's that? So anyway, I just think it's funny. And I think it's an interesting little nugget to show you, to keep the contrast in perspective, in our face. It's still here. The contrast is still right there. That's the old Jets. This is the new Jets. You got Carl Lawson saying, I'm working on being otherworldly. 2 years ago, right now, we had Le'Veon Bell not working out at OTAs because he had his own thing and Gase was defending it. And now we got Le'Veon Bell saying shit about Gase and Andy Reid. One of the greatest coaches of our era, if not the best, man. As far as coaches go, there's an argument to be made. There's an argument to be made for Andy Reid. Le'Veon Bell, I don't know. Those are the kind of words where it doesn't do anything. Like, you're sitting on the unemployment line right now. Free agency is in large part over. Yes, guys are still going to get signed, of course. But do you think this comment helps or hurts you getting a job in the future? Why would a coach take you on? The last 2 coaches you threw under the bus. And the coach before that you said was screwing you over. That's 3 coaches in a row, dude. That were the problem. So, I don't know. I'm curious to see where Le'Veon Bell ends up, aren't you? So, yay! It is question time. Question time. Question time. So let's get into this. I'm going to start with this one. Which one is this? This is David Obert. And again, David, thank you for the comment. And we'll start with this one. It says this. Like what you're doing. Would love what you're doing if you could keep it a little cleaner. Been a Jets fan from early to mid 60. From early to mid 60, as a kid, I seen Joe Namath play a bowl game for Alabama, and I said to myself, that is the greatest quarterback by far that I've ever seen. He came at halftime and totally changed the game, picked everyone up around him. I really like Sam, but thought he didn't do anything to inspire any of his teammates or himself. I see a little Broadway Joe and Zach. What do you think? That's interesting. Because we were just talking about that a little bit. Let me talk about the first part, David. Now, I appreciate you saying that. I do. I don't take offense or anything like that. Like, here's the truth of it, okay? And hopefully by now you guys are getting the idea that I try to be straightforward and honest with you guys. So the part I'm going to get to is like what you're doing. Would love what you're doing if you could keep it a little cleaner. The truth is that this is the clean version. This is really the clean. This is clean me. I am out of control. When I was a little kid, my father, my mother, my grandmother, all my uncles, every cousin I had, but I mean like literally my grandmother, F-bombs constantly. I was beaten up grab your hair, mother effer. That's the way it was. The first time I got told I had a potty mouth, the first time, I still remember it. I remember where it was. I remember who said it. Her name was Jen Beaumont. It was right on the side of a house at 16 Sloop Court in Barnegat, New Jersey. That's where I lived. And I was in 2nd grade. And she was talking about, she brought her cousin over to introduce her to her friend, me. And she said, he's really a nice guy. He has a potty mouth, but he's funny. That's what she said. 2nd grade. So it's just a part of my makeup. I am aware of it. I'm trying. That's the best I can give you. I'm trying. So hopefully I will be able to improve. I was an executive director, and I would do weekly meetings with 100 people every single week. 100 patients. I would gather them all, and every week I got somebody saying, why do you talk like that? I'm like, yeah, I hear you. So I just say, hey, man, don't make my talking your issue. Let's try to work on your thing, and my bad. So I'll apologize to you, David. It's certainly not intentional. One of the sayings that rings in my head all the time is this: a lack of profanity offends no one. I hear that all the time in my head. So I'm trying, and I appreciate you saying that. As far as Zach Wilson and Joe Namath, yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's exactly like Joe Namath. I don't know if we'll see him wearing fur jackets and like kind of on the flamboyant side of things. But I gotta say, I do see the chip, and by chip, what I mean is that little bit of an attitude, like I'm better than you. You know what I mean? And not like Josh Rosen, I'm better than you. Like, no, man, you're on my field, and I'm better than you here. And the guys around him are gonna know that the guy at the helm believes that he's gonna do it. He believes that we are better than them. And that's going to translate. It's going to permeate into everyone's mindset. That's what a leader does. And I got to tell you, man, I see it. And you guys know I wasn't on the Zach Wilson train. I wasn't on the anti-Zach Wilson train. I got accused of that. It's funny in this day and age, if you're not 100% on one thing, yeah, you're really on that side. I'm not on any side. I liked Zach Wilson a bunch, but I didn't love him like a lot of other people do. But I gotta say, since he's been here, I love it. I do. Maybe you guys saw something I didn't, and I looked. But I think that you're on to something here, man. I think that if we take care of this young man, like really take care of him, and it looks like we are, like with weapons, protection, coaching, if we take care of him, I think that that's exactly what his potential is. He can be the next guy for us, the guy to finally lead us out of the dark, and not a savior. Like Salah said, you're not here to save us, kid. We didn't bring you in here to save us. Best comment I've ever heard, I think. Right on the initial call. Hey, we're not bringing you in here to save us. You're not the savior. We're here to lift you. We just think you got the goods that are worth lifting. You know what I mean? So, David, thank you, man. I appreciate that. So, who's next? Let's see. Oh, okay. Our old buddy, Edward Ziff. So, Edward Ziff writes in and comments, I am interested to hear about how the other rookie quarterbacks have been doing in their OTAs and minicamps. Well, that is so interesting, Ed, because one of the things I'm working on behind the scenes is to do and address exactly that. Mr. Jeremy Cravat, one of our longtime listeners, one of you guys, he and I have been talking for a little while now, and he is in the process of gathering up all the info to keep track and keep tabs on every rookie quarterback that has been drafted this year, especially the first round quarterbacks, I would imagine. And we're going to keep tabs and do a series of exactly what's going on with all the quarterbacks. Let's know, right? Let's know. I think it's so. I'm also interested in this, Ed. Just a little bit of info. I'll have you know a couple things about this quarterback class. Number one, there are 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round. So it's actually a robust, top-heavy class. 5 quarterbacks in the first round, 3 of which were taken 1, 2, and 3. That's the first time that's happened since 1999, 21 years ago. Do you realize there are guys listening to this right now? There are guys, adults, that have never seen a quarterback go 1, 2, 3 in their entire life. It's never happened in their whole life. So that's how long it's been, which is really interesting. Now, obviously, those quarterbacks are Trevor Lawrence to the Jaguars, Zach Wilson to the Jets, and Trey Lance was the interesting one there to the San Francisco 49ers. We had 5 quarterbacks in the first round, 3 of which were the first 3 picks. So we're going to be getting on that. I will let you guys know when the series starts. We're already working on second drafts and all that kind of stuff. So we're close, man. That's going to be on GreenBeanjetsfan.com, and we're also going to make some videos. There'll be a blog about it. So, Ed, I'll let you know when that's coming, and we're going to keep tabs on it for you, man. But we're on the same page, so that's pretty damn cool. Thank you. The next question comes from Arjun Baller. He asks, even after restructuring Alex Lewis's contract, do you think they'll still cut him? Well, that's an interesting one. I don't think that the intention is to cut him, but I don't think that it protects him from being cut. Does that make sense? So I think that Alex Lewis is being looked at for competition for the right guard spot and a potential backup for both guard spots, potentially left guard. Let's not forget, when you look at offensive linemen, you want to look at probably 9 guys on your 53. Right, so you got the 5 starters, then you want to have a swing tackle, that's 6, you want to have a backup center, that's 7, and you want to have definitely at least 1 backup guard, which will bring you to gate, but to 8, and then you want to have another tackle guard kind of guy, or maybe a guard that can play guard and center. You want to have some versatility back there, which is good, and Alex Lewis provides a little bit of that. He can play both guard spots. So if you have to kick somebody out like Elijah Vera Tucker, like let's say Becton goes down, you got to kick Elijah Vera Tucker over to left tackle. You got to have guard come in, then you got to be able to do that. So Alex Lewis has value. The Alex Lewises, Greg Van Rotens of the world, they have value. So I don't think that the mentality, the idea is to cut Alex Lewis. He's a pretty damn good usage of a 7th-round pick, which is what Joe Douglas traded to get him. He's on his 3rd year with the New York Jets. I don't think he's really quality starter potential, at least not long-term. He can, a couple games or something like that. But he's pretty damn good depth, man. To come in for a game or two, I think he's just about as good as you're looking for. I don't know, but I think Alex Lewis is going to make the final roster. But I think that if somebody really shows up, let's say Greg Van Roten has really worked it out this offseason, looks like a stud, but Cam Clark comes on and even beats him out, and Alex Lewis is kind of the 3rd man out of that bunch. I don't think his contract restructuring protects him from that. I don't think it protects him, but I do think he's going to be on the roster. And I didn't always think that. So let's look at this one from Eddie Obaz. Thanks, Eddie. I appreciate the question. Bean, I freaking love you, man. Like I'm hooked listening to you. Kindred spirit type of shit for me. Well, cool, man. That's awesome. Anyway, bro, my question to you is what drug addiction rehab detox facility did you work for? I believe you mentioned you were a director in South Florida. That is correct. I was wondering because I recently made a career change myself and have gone back to school for applied psychology and started working for a detox called Evoke Wellness LLC back in February down here in South Florida. Originally, I'm from the Bronx. Just think it's cool that you are in recovery and did that kind of work. Anyway, bro, keep up the amazing work. You have true fans that are seriously in your contact. God bless you and your family. Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate that. That's really cool, man. Good for you. I think that's awesome. The addiction and mental health field can use it. Let me tell you that. There is no question. They can use it. They need all the help, and they need good people. There's a lot of people that are... they end up in the field. They were, they're nurses or they're therapists or they're psychologists, psychiatrists, and they were looking for work in like their chosen field, and they ended up in addiction. And they really don't care. I see it all the time. They're just kind of going through the motions because that's the place that'll pay them, so they work. But the addiction field can use people that really want to be there, man. So good for you. I started for a place called Summer House Detox in Miami. I worked there for 6 years. Those are the folks that gave me my start. I knew nothing about anything. I was 6 months sober. I walked in. They gave me a job. And I worked there for 6 years, got promotion after promotion after promotion. Then from there, because of the work I did at Summer House, I got a call, said, hey, could you be the program director at this new rehab we're starting? We built that into just an amazing, amazing program called Pathway to Hope in Fort Lauderdale. And then Pathway to Hope and Ocean Breeze and a bunch of others merged, created the Delphi Behavioral Health Group, and I was an executive director in charge of Pathway to Hope and Ocean Breeze recovery down there. And I resigned in 2018? Is it now? Sheesh, 2019 maybe? That's what it is. And I was also an interventionist and all that jazz. But good for you, man. I wish you well. You ever need any pointers, please leave me alone. No, I'm just kidding, man. You ever need any help? Just DM me or something. I'll give you what I got. I don't care. I don't mind helping. I wish you well, and thank you for that question. That's an interesting one. I didn't see it coming. Let's see what else we got here. Ooh, Mark Food Fun Fantasy. That's our next question. Lots of good player cuts coming. Too early to tell. But do we keep 5 running backs? Do we keep 7 wide receivers? Dude, to me, this is the biggest question. Because like I said a little bit earlier in this podcast, in years past, we always worried about having enough good players to even fill the damn spots. We had all these scrubs. We're packed full of losers. That's what we were. Now we have some tiers of guys that, honest to God, could make an NFL roster, man. Like, we have guys. So you look at the running backs. Are we going to keep 5 running backs? Dude, I don't think so. But the tier looks like this, the hierarchy. Tevin Coleman, right? You got one, Tevin Coleman. You got Ty Johnson. You got Michael Carter, who's risen through OTAs. Then you got LaMichael Pirine, last year's 4th-round pick. And you got Josh Adams. Don't forget, you're going to need some sort of fullback. So you got Trevon Wesco. Is he going to be a running back or a tight end? So I think we're keeping 4 running backs. So we're going to keep 4 running backs. Now, and I think those 4 running backs, sadly to say, is going to be without Josh Adams, who I like. I would prefer to keep Josh Adams than Tevin Coleman, specifically because he can't stay on the field. So I don't know. That's all great that Tevin Coleman is Tevin Coleman. I really do like his game, but he's more than likely not going to play all 17 games for us. So I hate to get a young guy with potential off the team for a guy who's not going to play. But that all said, maybe they're going to spell Tevin Coleman and use a lion's share of Michael Carter and Ty Johnson with LaMichael Pirine spelling them, and then Tevin Coleman for, like, I don't know, 8 carries a game kind of a thing. Maybe that's the plan. I think that could work. But I think we're going to probably keep 4 running backs. And it's going to be weird, man, because I think that we're probably going to keep 6 wide receivers, but I'm really hoping they keep 7. But then what does that do to the tight ends? Are you going to keep 2 tight ends? So you can't. You know, you want to have at least 3 tight ends. But, and in my opinion, we have 4. So let's look at the tight ends for a second. Then we'll get back to wide receivers. You got Trevon Wesco, who I'm really high on and can play fullback, right? He's 267 pounds and lays the wood. Tyler Croft, elite blocker with more production than Chris Herndon, the guy everybody thinks is going to be a superstar. Tyler Croft's best year is better than Chris Herndon's best year, and Tyler Croft is looked at as a blocker exclusively. Okay, so that shows you where Chris Herndon is. That brings us to Chris Herndon. We have 3. Then we have Ryan Griffin, who's been lighting it up in camp. We have Daniel Brown. That's 5, and then we have Kenny Yeboah. So that's 6. Dude? 3 of those guys are gone. So I think Daniel Brown, who's really on the team for his special teams stuff, he's gonna go. Tyler Croft's making the team, right? I really think Trevon Wesco's making the team. Honest to God, man, you know what I think is really possible? And I know it's going to piss people off. I think the guys getting cut are Daniel Brown, Chris Herndon, and we keep 4 and keep Wesco as kind of a running back tight end. Because, dude, that's going to be tough to get rid of. Ryan Griffin is the next guy out, but he's lighting it up, man. Him and Zach Wilson look good. He's having that year. He's finally back to 100%. The guy that we saw before his injury that gave Joe Douglas the motivation to re-sign him and give him the extension, that's the guy that showed up to OTAs. So, dude, he's making it hard. He's making it hard. So, I don't know, man. Think about this. You got Tyler Croft, Trevon Wesco, Kenny Yeboah, and Ryan Griffin. So that's a better stable than we've had. Let Chris Herndon go pound salt. That's how I see it. He dropped a couple passes in OTAs already. I mean, the guy, I don't know, man. It's like, you know, again, it's OTAs, right? It's OTAs. But here we are saying, what are we saying about Chris Herndon? Oh, it's OTAs. Dude, you're in shorts and T-shirts. I threw the ball with my son this morning. You want to know how many passes he dropped? None. Unless I suck. Unless I threw it so far, you don't even... If it hit his hands, he caught it. You know why? Because that's not hard to do. If you can't catch the ball, Mr. Chris Herndon, you don't belong on an NFL team. And I don't know what the deal is with this guy. And I'd hate to see a guy like Kenny Yeboah pushed off the team because of Chris Herndon, man. So, I don't know. It's going to be tough. About the 7 wide receivers, I don't know. Corey Dave, like I just did this. We got the top 5 down to Crowder. Then you got Barrios, Vincent Smith, Jeff Smith, DJ Montgomery. We have 9 guys floating around. Cager's done. I'm sorry. The poor guy. You know, I'd love it. I'd love to have a guy with his size and measurables and ability on the field. You mean Lawrence Cager you can stash on the practice squad. Probably DJ Montgomery you can stash on the practice squad. But I don't know, man. That's going to be a tough one. I got to say, this is the crux, man. This is really it. It's a great question. It's a great question, Mr. Mark Food Fun Fantasy, because I don't know. I really don't know. But if you keep 5 running backs and 7 wide receivers, dude, that's 12 guys of the 53. You're usually going to have 9 offensive linemen and 2 quarterbacks. I mean, something's got to give. Where are you giving? Like, I don't know. I don't see it. It's hard. It's hard to do. It's a hard one. I just don't know how that's going to happen. But, hey, this isn't our decision. So we're going to have to watch this one, Mark. We're going to have to watch this one and see where it goes. But it's a fantastic question. Let's keep an eye on this one, huh? So, let's see who's next here. We got James DiPietro. If we sign Morgan Moses, does Fant move to right guard? Moses is a starter and not a depth piece. I think that's one issue JD is pondering. Well, what's interesting about that is that Fant never played guard. Fant's a monster and he's super athletic. I think he could. Yeah, I don't know. It's really an interesting one. But I agree with you that Morgan Moses is not coming here to be a backup. And that's why I find it hard. Like, I just think it's going to be hard to sign this guy because I think that where he's going, there are going to be guys that are teams that are going to be able to flat out offer him the starting job. Now, if we're doing that, that's really kind of douchey to George Fant. Like, there's got to be a competition. You got to say, look, we'll bring you in here. I know you started 98 straight games or whatever it is, but you got to compete with our guy. You got to beat him out. If you beat him out and you look like you might, then you win the starting job. But if you can't beat him out, then you can't beat him out. And you think he's going to go, oh, I don't know. Jaguars are offering me starter. So go play with the Jaguars. You know what I mean? We'll offer you another $1 million. I don't know. But I think it's interesting. Like Joe Douglas and Salah said, the 5 best guys are going to be on the field. The 5 best guys. So if that's George Fant in front of Cam Clark and George Van Roten, whatever, then that's the way it'll be. I think it's possible, man. But I don't know. I really like the idea of George Fant on the outside, but Morgan Moses is a guy I really like too. So I think the number one thing, James, is that you want to collect good players. You want to collect guys that have the same mentality and have proven that they can play. Morgan Moses has proven it, and even more so than George Fant with respect. So I think it's an interesting one to see where it goes. If I had to just make a guess, if we sign Morgan Moses, he's going to be our right tackle, and I think that I don't think George Fant is going to play guard. I think that he's going to end up being our swing tackle. I think the competition at guard is fierce this year. I think Cam Clark's our guy. That's what I think. All right, Iowan Jets fan. Let's see what he's got. He has 2 questions. All right, I have 2 questions for you. It looks like the Cowboys have too many linebackers on their roster after taking Parsons and Cox in the draft, which most likely means either Jalen Smith or Vander Esch would be available. Do you think it would be worth pursuing either one? What do you think would be the number 2? What do you think would be the best way for me to show I'm a Jets fan from Iowa? Iowa Jets fan makes it seem like I'm a fan of the Iowa Jets. An Iowan Jets fan is grammatically incorrect. Therefore, brother, it bothers the hell out of me. How about this? Jets fan from Iowa. Just so you know, like on Jetnation, there are tons of guys that this is their name. Like this is what it from whatever state. There's Florida Jets fan. There's Jets fan from Florida. There's Alabama Jet. There's all kinds of stuff like that. Iowan Jets fan, I like it, man. I think that's smooth. It's great. It doesn't have to be grammatically correct on YouTube. That's like the place where you have freedom to do anything you want. Why don't you even use the number 1 for Iowa? You know what I mean? You can do anything you want. But I think Iowan Jets fan, Iowan isn't good. That's not real. Like, I'm an Iowan. I don't know the vernacular there. I don't know how it's actually pronounced, the nomenclature, but I like it. But you can also say Jets fan from Iowa. It seems like a simple solution, doesn't it? But I'll tell you what, Iowa Jets fan doesn't sound as much like you think it does. Unless there's a team, the Iowa Jets, is there? Let me see. Let me look this up. Iowa Jets. No. It's all military jet stuff. At least, look, first page of Google says no. So you're good. You're safe, man. You're safe. Now, about the first question, number 1, those are 2 of my favorite players in the draft. I loved those guys. I can't believe that they went to the same team, man. Micah Parsons and Jabril Cox. They went to the same team. So I think, yes, it's going to push their linebackers around a little bit. But number 1, I don't think they're as loose as you think. I think they're stacking up on their defense. And I honestly think that the guys that we brought in, while it's not like I wouldn't call us, deep by any means, but I really think this year isn't our Super Bowl year. This is an evaluation year. It's Salah's first year. I think we're going to try to win every damn game. I think that. But I think that they would rather see the guys that they drafted on the field. Jamie and Sherwood, Nasruddin. Is it Hamza Nasruddin? Yeah. Those types of guys. See what Blake Cashman has in the tank. See what C.J. Mosley can do. You know what I mean? Let's see what Jared Davis is going to be able to do. So I think they're going to want to see those guys on the field rather than bringing in guys like we need a guy to shore up the position. I just don't know that's the route they're going to go. For right now, I'm thinking that the Jets would be more inclined to look at their young guys than not panic, but then overreact and kind of bring in a guy. Now, if they got to get rid of, let's say they got to get rid of Chris Herndon, and Dallas is like, hey, we need a tight end, and you go, hey, give me Van Der Esch. And you have the opportunity to do that? Yeah. But I don't know if it's something we're going to be looking to do because we're not exactly hurting anymore. We stuffed it up, man. We did. We did a decent job in the draft for the linebacker position. And we have guys. Like I said, I'm not saying we're deep, but we got some nice young pieces there. And it's going to be interesting to see those guys play and if they can actually handle it as opposed to bringing in a vet because you don't think you can. You know what I mean? Just let them play. Let them play. That's my thought. All right, let's do one more, man. There's a few more. Let's do Jack Merweed. He yelled at me a little bit, so I got to make sure that I get his question on here. He was freaking out. Hey! But there's a few more, but and I'm sorry if I don't get to your question. Please don't take it personally. I'm way over. I'm like an hour and 20 minutes right now. I'm gonna have to edit the hell out of this. Jack Merweed says, hey Bean, love your content. With all the apparent success during OTAs, including participation in crisp execution, are you able to reassess your 2021 win-loss for the Jets? What did I say it was again? Reassess. Let's see. What did I say? I think I said 9-8. Or no, didn't I say 10-7 or something like that? Right? I think, let me say it this way, Jack. I'm excited for this year, more so than I have been in a long time. Last year's excitement was slightly manufactured. It wasn't dishonest, but it all hinged on Sam Darnold making a leap, which I thought was very possible. I was like, this is his year, and this kid is going to carry us. That's what I thought. We got some guys. We got Denzel Mims. We got Jamison Crowder. Chris Herndon's going to bounce back. Like, we needed a lot of things to happen, but it was all really contingent on Sam Darnold kind of having his year. And, dude, he had the biggest flop of flops, so that excitement was like, you know what I mean? It was by the third series of the first game, I was like live. I'm like, guys, this is going to be bad. This is going to be a bad one. We're going to be in this one for a long time. So I'm really excited for this team. And as far as my reassess, if I could remember what I said, I would reassess it. But I'll just do it this way. I'll just tell you right now, I think this team, if things run well, let's just say Salah doesn't have he's not wet behind the ears and everything else. Let's just say that if Salah is as good as we think he can be, and Mike LaFleur is not just a shell of where he came from, if the offense works and all this sort of stuff, and guys aren't getting hurt every week, I think we can win 9-10 games and fight for the playoff spot. Yeah, our schedule isn't exactly terrifying. You know what I mean? It's a normal schedule. Last year was brutal. In addition to totally sucking, it was when you looked at the schedule, it was like, oh my God. And I think I jokingly said we were going to be 12-4. And everybody's chop my head off, man. But it was just, it was a tough year. So I think the OTAs definitely support the idea that excitement is warranted, Jack. You know? So, yeah, man, thank you for the question. Sorry for any confusion about where your question went, but I had it. I had it, man. It didn't go anywhere. So I see a few more. I see a few more, man. I feel so guilty. I'm like a prisoner to this shit. Let's do Friggle D real quick. I missed a couple episodes. Screw him. I'm not doing. He missed episodes. I missed a couple of episodes, bro. But if we haven't already, I'd like us to do a deep dive into Jeff Ulbrich. He's been overshadowed by Saleh quite a bit. I agree, dude. Now, and he just spoke a couple times, and I love him. I love him. How about this? I'll make a deep dive video in the next week or so for you, Friggle D. I'll even call it the Friggle D extravaganza. How's that? Okay? When you see that, the Friggle D, Friggly D, put your name on there somewhere. Okay? On the thumbnail. All right, but I agree, man. I think he's been a little bit forgotten. Probably, don't forget how he was introduced. It was like every time we hired somebody, it was like a big deal. Jets hired this guy. Jets hired this guy. Ulbrich, that didn't happen. Saleh was in his introductory presser and just said, yeah, well, when Ulbrich runs the defense, we're like, wait, who? Remember that? Wait, who's running the defense? I was still thinking that Chris Richard was going to be the guy. So, anyway, guys, you're the best. I know this one's a little bit long. Hopefully I'll edit it. Maybe I'll edit it down. I don't know. But I thank you for the questions. I really do. This was fun. It was fun to look at it through your eyes and kind of respond. I don't know how well I answered it, of course, but hopefully it was good. And don't forget, man, like and subscribe. Don't forget to hop over from here to my full-time coaster tour on YouTube and just hit the subscribe button. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. And then watch every video and then hit like on every one and then hit the bell. That's it. I swear there's nothing else. And don't forget, go to Jetnation.com. It's where all the goodies are happening, man. You think this is good? Get over to Jetnation. So, guys, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. With that said, I hope you're having a great day, a great weekend, and have a great week. Go Jets.